All right, well, welcome back. My name is Mark Rogers, and this is the Prospect, Produce, Prosper podcast. And with me is a longtime friend and one of the top advisors in the country, Stuart Spivak. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you having me, my
You
friend.
got the Christmas sweater going.
Ready to
You're
go.
in full spirit mode.
I'm in the holiday spirit, no doubt.
And I actually didn't know this about you, but I didn't think that you owned a sweater, given the fact that you live in Scottsdale, Arizona. So
A little chilly here today.
I may have lost a bet somewhere along the line that you actually own a sweater. So there you go. What's the plan for the holidays? You guys going back east or?
No, we're staying pretty close to home and going to do some fun things. Taking the kids this weekend to the Fairmount Scottsdale Princess.
Oh.
1 million plus lights, amazing.
Ferris wheel.
Everything is there. Amazing display.
They have a new drone presentation. Have you seen one of those yet?
I have.
Not the ones flying over New Jersey right now. This is a different one. But yeah, it's supposed to be amazing, I hear. I mean, Fairmont is the place to go.
That
right?
is, people now have recognized it as one of the go-to places around the country. So
Yeah.
people come in and check in for the weekend and kind of make it a whole experience. It's pretty awesome.
What's so funny is that that is the family place to be. And then here comes February in a hurry, and then it becomes waste management.
You know it. And Barrett Jackson right before that. Yeah.
It's a scene there. They know what they're doing.
Welcome to Scottsdale, Arizona.
That's where else do you want to be?
It's the place to be right about now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us because, one of the things that I love with working with you, there's a lot of things, but you're always so dedicated to figuring out new ways to work with investors. One, just your process, the investment you've made in your process of once you get in front of people, how you're going to help them. And I know how important that is to you. But you got to get in front of them, and that is a big problem, in today's environment. And you are not somebody that gets fearful around price tags of marketing, and yet not saying that you're loose with your money by any means, but you're dedicated to figuring out those ways.
I mean, listen, after almost 37 years now in business, and I've mentored a lot of people over the years, some people will say that this business is a sales and marketing business. This business is a marketing first and then sales business, because you could be the greatest sales guy in the country, but if you have nobody to tell your story to, then you might be the poorest, best financial advisor in the country. Right? This business is all about how do you continue to get in front of people on a favorable basis that you can help. And listen, I mean, it all starts with, being that this is a people business and a relationship business. And, it all starts with marketing. And I found that consistent marketing and continuing to market, even when it is working or not working, is the key.
And it's not just from one place, right? I think what the pandemic has certainly taught a lot of us is that if you have the marketing eggs in one basket, you and I both know that things change in a hurry.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, we pretty much have a 3 or 4-legged marketing stool. And again, it's the commitment to marketing that I think is the key. And, after 37 years in business and speaking to a lot of, my colleagues and even, people that I've mentored over the years, it's a long game. You can, as an example, and you're the best in the business when it comes to seminars and helping advisors to get into the seminar business, but an advisor can't do one seminar and measure the results after doing 1, 2, or 3 day, seminar series, if you will. I've told so many people that you have to commit to basically doing it for 6 months and then measure the results. So if it costs $15,000 a month, you have to invest, not spend, invest $90,000. And then at the end of 6 months, see how much revenue you generated from your $90,000 investment. I'm guessing that that $90,000 investment will generate somewhere between 360,000 to 450,000, a 4 to 5x on that $90,000 investment. And the question I would ask anybody is, if you had an ATM machine and you could put $1 in, and for every dollar you put into this machine, it's going to spit out $4 or $5. How many dollars would you put into the machine?
Yeah. As many as you got.
You'd borrow money to put the money in.
No doubt.
So, the secret is, as we all know, there is no secret. And that's what you just have to commit to.
Well, and I get all the time, Mark, what is it? What works best? Is it dinner seminars? Is it educational events? Is it digital marketing and online leads? Like what is best? And to me, the answer is yes.
Right.
They all work. And depending on how much money you want to raise, how many new clients do you want to bring on in a year, would then tell me how much of each of those events, you should be doing. So when you look at it, Stu, what are those key metrics in your mind of, okay, I need to do how many dinners, how many digital ads throughout the month? What does that kind of math look like for you?
Let's talk about dinner seminars for a second, right? I mean, so many of my colleagues and peers would say, well, I do a dinner seminar, or I teach a class at a local college, and I do it, once every 6 months. Is it working? No, it works great. Why don't you do it every month? Right? Why just once every 6 months or once a quarter? So early on in my career, I mean, look, I was, back in 2005, so we're talking about almost 20 years ago, I kind of plateaued, my production.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was not until I got into, doing dinner seminars that really helped me to catapult, my production and, build my team. And, we were able to do great things, financially for ourselves, but more importantly, help so many more people because we were able to get in front of so many, people to help them. You asked me a question about different, kind of avenues of marketing. We do a lot of digital marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a niche market where we focus on a very specific area of the financial planning world, which is IRS Rule 72T. So, just on that alone, I'm spending north of $10,000 a month, to generate activity, that makes our phone ring or gets email inquiries. And, look, when it comes to marketing, I am just of the opinion, and this just kind of who I am and how I am wired, that I am going to work it until it works. I'm not going to work it to see if it works.
Yeah.
Because I know it works.
That's a mindset, right?
It's a mindset. I know it works, right? So it's just a matter of continuing to do it, right? And seminars, you can do a series of seminars and it could be a horrible run. You cannot judge the success of seminars after doing 1, 2, or 3, night series.
Right.
So it's a commitment, yes.
And to go along with that, I think one of the things that should be noted is that you think through the fact that you've got to have different stories and messaging sort of going on all at one time. Again, if you had all of those eggs in one story, if you were just the Roth guy, at some point it either fizzles out or it goes stale, and you have different things, different hooks that bring people in, all come in and they then start through kind of the same process. So for you, on a day-to-day basis, you're kind of having the same conversations, you're going through the same process that you go through, even though they may come through different styles of messaging. That may start there, but it still works to your process. You don't have to recreate an entire new business just because you're having a different message.
No, and you're absolutely right. The process, everybody is led to the same conversation, which is the analogy that we like to use when it comes to retirement planning. And that is the analogy of Mount Everest, right? Climbing a mountain and then coming down the mountain. And the analogy that we use and that we have illustrated on our website is basically, people spend 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years climbing the proverbial financial mountain. We in our industry call that the accumulation stage of retirement. If you are 3 to 5 years away from retirement or 1 to 2 years of retirement, yes, you're in the retirement red zone. If you are now at the top of the mountain, already now retired or about to retire, the question we ask people is the hike over? No, the hike's not over. Why is the hike not over? You now have to get down the mountain. And I don't know, and I know that most people don't know this about Mount Everest, that more people die on the way down Everest than they do climbing to the top. More financial plans fall apart when people are now retired because of sequence of returns risk. Retiring at the wrong time and the markets don't cooperate when these buckets of money that you have now need to last the rest of your life and your wife's life. So that coming down the mountain, the distribution or the decumulation stage of retirement is what we specialize in helping people to safely get down the financial mountain. So yes, regardless of the marketing that we're doing, whether I'm standing up in front of a room of 25, 30, 35, 40 potential clients, so prospects, or the digital marketing that we do where we're on Zoom calls with people all over the country, this is the story that we're telling them. And it doesn't matter at what stage we meet them in their lives. This is something that everybody has in common. Everybody wants to be able to have a rock solid plan for their financial future, whatever it means for them. And then it's just about relationship building.
So as I think about your brand, and I've traveled across the country for 20 years, walking into all different types of financial advisors practices, I would say that you set the standard or are the gold standard of the industry. And here's what I mean by that. You've invested into a location, a Class A location that you did the own build out of the building, right? You own the building, did the build out to create an experience, a unique experience. One. Two is staffing. You've had people on your staff that have worked there for years. I think that says a lot to just bringing in people and creating jobs in the area, but having that quality of person, again, goes back to client experience. Down to the snack drawer, dude. I think you got the best. I see a lot of advisor snack drawers. Okay. You've got one of the best. You got every drink and coffee for the person to feel comfortable. You got different styles of meeting rooms to bring people in. I mean, all that stuff, that's not just stuff, that matters.
It matters.
That experience absolutely matters. And I think about, you know me, I love to shop and I'm into fashion. And dude, there's a reason why I love Nordstrom, right? There is a standard when you walk into Nordstrom of how they treat you, take care of you. It makes you want to go back. It makes you want to tell your friends. But so many of your peers don't make that investment. And so it drives me crazy because here is somebody that will go spend money on a Ruth Chris dinner or a Fleming's dinner. They'll spend money on the materials to look beautiful and create an experience. And then the first meeting is at a Regis office or just not that space. What would you tell that advisor when they're curious about why people aren't coming back for a second meeting, just fundamentally from even that office space and what that all needs, what that means to a brand?
I think details matter, what you're talking about. And I think that all those details, from the way somebody dresses, the shoes that they wear, just their clothes, their first impression. So what we're talking about, a first impression, if I'm hosting a dinner seminar, guess what? I'm wearing a suit and tie. I got a tie on. Okay? You can never be overdressed. I know some of my colleagues come and they wear a golf shirt and all their
PGA professional.
I'm just saying. I mean,
Yep.
it's first impressions are everything,
Hmm.
and nobody has ever said you're too dressed up. They think to themselves, did this guy look in the mirror before, or did this gal look in the mirror before she showed up at this meeting? Right? So, first impressions. And when you talk about an office, yes, that's very, very important when clients or prospects come into the office that, we have a professional office that's comfortable, that's warm, that's inviting. Our receptionist is not known as a receptionist. She's known as a director of first impression. She has a title, and first impressions are everything, not only for the gal that answers our telephone when somebody calls, but the first person that they see when they come in, and it just sets the stage, right? So, I'm a hotel snob as an example. There's a difference between going to, a Hilton hotel versus a Ritz Carlton or a Four Seasons hotel. I mean, there's a difference.
Hmm.
And, our industry has become commoditized in many ways because the products are all the same. But how do you take the products, which are all the same, my annuity, my mutual fund, my ETF, my stock, my bond, my real estate portfolio is identical to the person's across the street, let's say, but what is the differentiator? How do you put an experience, okay, around this commodity that we are selling, if you will? And what are we selling? We're selling financial security. We're selling something that's intangible. You know who's done that better than anybody? Starbucks. They've taken a 25-cent coffee seed and have created this entire experience,
It's amazing.
and they have raving fans,
Yep.
right? Just like the Four Seasons or the Ritz Carlton have taken a commodity called a hotel room, and they've created this experience around the hotel room. Yes, the linens are nicer, and the amenities in the bathroom are nicer, and the lobby's nicer,
Hmm.
and the staff is more educated, and everything feels nicer and better. But that's really, it's everything in my opinion.
Well, and to go along with that, same thing with the website, same thing with your digital presence. So if somebody meets you digitally, it should look and feel the same as if they're walking through the front doors of the office, right? It's that whole entire experience. Can your process live out there? And I think that that's, like I said, that's the standard. That's where people should be, and I think that you're doing it right. You know.
Well, I appreciate that. And, over the years, I've always had my eyes and ears open. I still have my eyes and ears open. I realize after my 37 years that nobody has a monopoly on all the good ideas. So I'm still learning and I'm still wanting to improve and raise the bar because, it really is the old story. When you're green, you grow. And, being green and keeping your eyes open and what can we do to make this better is just a great philosophy to have. And I don't care if that's in business or that's in life or that's with, your own personal health and everything else. It's really everything, being a better parent, and being a better husband or wife or, boss or, friend, everything is how do you continue to improve? So, and that's important to me.
Well, you've always done a great job, whether it's meeting somebody for the first time, the way that you recognize people as I watch you when people first enter the dinner seminar, or I've seen you with existing clients at your client appreciation events. Like you don't change. You're the same outgoing, hard, just that personality. You're to me like you're like this cartoon character of a personality that like people are just naturally drawn to. And that's really hard to recreate. But one of the things that I learned as I came to your client appreciation event this year is that the fun, the education, and the client experience doesn't stop. It's not someone comes to your dinner seminar, so man, they could be so lucky to be a client. You're continuing to date that client. You're continuing to create experiences both in the office and out of the office. And that really breeds referrals and it solidifies relationship and all of that. So I know you've done some fun things over the years. Give us one or two fun existing client events that you guys have
I
done throughout
mean,
the year.
literally in the past, I'm going to say 45 days or so, we had a kind of a Thanksgiving brunch over at a local restaurant called the Henry here in the Phoenix
Oh yeah,
area.
great spot.
And we had 50, 60, 70 clients come out. We got to acknowledge all the veterans on Veterans Day and just have kind of a beautiful, brunch. It was really a client appreciation. We did have an outside speaker come in, and we got lots of compliments. It was basically, 2024 is coming to an end. What are some of the tax planning ideas and thoughts that we need to be aware of as we approach year end and everything? So that was a fabulous, client appreciation event. We had some prospects there that we've been working with, and we would invite them to come. Hey, you're not a client yet, but we want to give you a taste of, what it's like to become a client. And then just, in the past, I don't know, week and a half or so, we did an event at a local business not too far from where my office is, called the Flower Garage. And the Flower Garage is basically a floral studio. And we had about 20 women clients, couple prospects, couple clients. We, had asked them to bring a friend. So we had 20 ladies only, and everybody was able to make their own floral arrangement and walk away with a masterpiece that they just made, which was all themed of the holiday. And the host was, of course, us and my team, but we had, food and drink there. And the owner of the business walked all the ladies through all the flowers that she handed out, how to place them, what to do. Without doing it for them, it was a masterpiece that they created themselves.
So
So,
cool.
so many of the
Great
ladies were
idea.
like, I've never done this before. I didn't think I was creative. You should have seen these gorgeous, gorgeous floral arrangements. I mean, we have gotten so many thank yous and so
What a
much,
great idea.
yeah, credit. And we're going to do that event, at a bigger place and invite the husbands. We did that for our staff. We had our staff luncheon recently, and we went over to one of my favorite restaurants here in town called Buck and Ryder. We
Mm.
had a beautiful, luncheon with everybody to celebrate the 2024 and the holidays. And then we took our whole staff over, and we're a team of 14. And we had a guy's table and a ladies' table, and we all made flowers. And believe it or not, the men loved it also.
Yeah,
So we're
it's
going to break
awesome.
this out to the husbands and wives, our clients,
What an idea.
and do a bigger event and have have that be one of our client appreciation events. So fun stuff.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and I've been at spring training with you. You continue to just think outside the box and invest into those people, which I think again experience.
Well, you know as
lets
well as
people
I
know that
do,
that they matter, right?
you know as well as I do, this business is a people business. It's all about relationships. You've done an amazing job of forming relationships with the advisors that you have all across the country, continuing to mentor them, to help them grow, to improve, to keep them on top of their game, to take things off their plate so they can do what they do best and everything. And also that this business is all about people and relationships.
Yeah.
So if you don't like people, this is not the business to be in. You have to like people. And once you know that, this is your career, your life, it's about leaning into that. And it's just good things happen when you stay in front of your clients.
Well, you've been a big impact in my life, and still now, every time now getting the mail is a big deal to me.
You like that?
I love that. And I'll tell you, every time that I get home and I go to the mail, and the kids know, you put it on Dad's desk.
That's right.
I'm going to sort the mail because I love to go through the mail. So you are, you've been a great mentor, a great friend to me, and your success is just unbelievable. And in fact, I'm super excited to be in Florida with you here when it's probably, snowstorms are brewing in Salt Lake where my house is. We're going to be loving beautiful weather down and celebrating your success.
Yep.
And so you'll be there with your top broker dealer peers through Centaurus. The event looks like that's going to be amazing. And the best thing about that event particularly is that they really do a good job of saying thank you, to you guys and how hard you work. And I know that there'll be some awards that you'll be getting up there. And so congratulations,
Yeah,
man.
no, they're doing a fabulous job. And as you know, the best part of all of those type of meetings is just being around our peers and sharing ideas with each other. And, some of my colleagues are, superstar producers, and just kind of hearing what they're doing and how they're doing things better. So we all learn from each other. It's iron sharpens iron, as they say. So, that's the best part, of being at those meetings is the time you have with your colleagues. So
Well, I hope you'll come back. We'll do this again.
absolutely,
This is right down the street from the office, so I better have you back.
anytime, my friend.
Thank you. On that note, if you want to talk to Stuart and you want to spend some time, what I love about him is he's always willing to share his best practices, his best ideas with his peer group. And I think that that's something that we really work towards at Producers Prospect is everybody's got great ideas and reasons why they're successful, and we want to promote those. So reach out to us at producersprospect.com. You can click on the link to schedule a time, and Stuart we'll jump on your schedule, and we're happy to talk to you. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to your peer advisors. And we want to help you. We want to help you grow your business. We want to help you more fully develop your practice. And we look forward to supporting you. Thanks, Stu.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.